really cold weather today. I'm sure some of us have a warm tea beside us while we're joining this class. I mean, that would be really, really necessary right now. Um, this is another Saturday in the software application development and cybersecurity class. Last week we went through introduction to internet, and on the cybersecurity side we went through risk failures. So before going forward, I think Honesty was in class, Oluwasegun, Temi, Richard was in class. So can you, one of you just unmute your mic and tell us briefly about the last class? I mean, what was one thing, couple of things that you could pinpoint? Maybe something you did not know about the internet, or something you had a vague knowledge of, but it was clarified last week. So let's know real quick before we start the class. We'll kick off the class by 10:20. So let us know real quick in less than a minute. Tell us what was one thing you learned from the last class. You can either pick the introduction to internet or the cybersecurity side, which is risk failures. So Richard, Temi, Shola, Honesty, Oluwasegun, just someone. If you're too shy to unmute your mic, you can actually chat in the chat box, but I'd like to hear your voices this morning. So just real quick, doesn't have to be too deep, just something brief. What did you pick from the last class?
All right, so um, I learned about adding other mails or other, I don't know how to call it, mails to your easy web mails now, like in the last class. I think that was under the introduction to internet.
All right, that's great. Talking about the introduction to internet, which was the last class, I hope we all have submitted our assignments to our assignments to the official assignments mail. I'm sure we have done that by now because the trainer is going to come probably in the next class to ask for his assignment. So all right, Temi has spoken. Richard, are you going to say something? Oluwasegun, Shola, Honesty.
For
Are we going to say
me, it is more like a refresher course to remind me of most of those things which I've always worked with. So it was a very enlightening moment. Thank you.
all right, thank you so much. So this is 10:90. Let's go into today's session. For today, we will be going into PC upgrade and maintenance. Just like the last class was um, insightful one, refreshing our memories about a lot of things. Today also, it will be a refreshing one because we all know, some of us, okay, don't let me assume we all do, but we have been using PC for a while. We know how to upgrade, we know how to maintain, but there are still some things, some basic things we might have overlooked, we might have not taken real notice of. So today in this session, we are going to go thoroughly into PC upgrade and maintenance. So our trainer, Mr. Vincent, is here with us. Mr. Vincent, I'll leave the steering now and I'll give you the wheels. Mr. Vincent, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're loud and clear.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. If you're in Lagos, good cold morning. It's been raining since, and it kind of even met me on the road. Okay. Before I start, I want to assume you are hearing me, but not to dwell on the assumption. Can you please confirm if you can hear me? Richard, Timmy, Honesty, Shola. Can you confirm if you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, let's dive into our class for today. So, just like our host said, we're not new to PC upgrade and maintenance, and somehow, in one way or the other, we do these things, maybe formally or informally, but one way or the other, we do these things. So we'll be having a more of an interactive class so that we both share ideas and experiences on this area. So before I move into the slide, I'll just do a little overview of what PC upgrade and maintenance is, shed a few light on some things, and also discuss a little overview as well. So computers or devices, well, I won't say devices, but computers majorly, the built to last, let's say 5 to 8 years when maintained properly. But then somehow this lifespan can be reduced, or we can erode it if we don't take appropriate steps to protect the hardware and sometimes even the software as well. So this is why computer or PC maintenance is a very important aspect when we're working with this device. The same happens too with phones. So when we talk about PC maintenance, it encompasses all the actions that a user takes to keep his or her computer running smoothly, efficiently, and securely. Now, this would include both the hardware and the software as well. The hardware part, we're familiar with that. The software part as well, there are some tasks that we take that are aimed at preventing issues from arising with the system or improving the system in performance, and also protecting our device, our PC from threats. So in essence, what we're saying is PC maintenance is just about keeping your computers or your PC in good condition through regular care and upkeeps. Now we have different aspects of PC maintenance. We have the hardware, we have the software, and we also have the data. But I'm going to break this down into 4 different segments. I hope we can still hear me. So the first segment will be how keeping the computer clean. Keeping your computer clean. This is just as direct as it gets. The first step there will be to always dust your keyboard. Now, I think the outline was prepared using a desktop computer, but I'm going to be interchanging some things while explaining using PCs and sometimes too phones or tablets or recent devices. So the first thing we have here is keeping your dusting your keyboard. Dusting your keyboard. Now there's a research, I don't know how true that is. It says the average desktop on keyboard is more dirtier than a toilet seat. Now I've seen way dirty toilets, so I would contest that research and analysis. But then I think the point you're trying to make is when it comes to dust, your system has a higher capacity of retaining it because of the way the internal features work. It has a high tendency of retaining dust. Now, the recommendation here is once a week, try dusting your keyboard and sometimes the mouse as well. Now, if you're using a laptop, obviously the mouse pad is embedded on the PC, so you would notice every now and then. Sometimes we don't notice, but it's always important. Now, not just for the PC itself, but also your health. Learn to like dust your keyboard, use a white cloth or something, a damp cloth. Now, not too soaked in water. That could cause another issue. But weekly, try to dust your keyboard and your mouse, or just clean, if you're using a laptop, clean the keyboard area and the mouse area on a weekly basis. Then the next point I wrote here on cleaning your computer would be to wipe the monitor. Now, some of us who sometimes, when you're working at night, one instead just purchase on the keyboard and you maybe use your finger or something to clean it or to kill it. It leaves a mark. If I was to ask some of us now, how clean is your screen from a scale of 1 to 10? How would we rate it? Anybody? How clean is your screen? Your computer screen right now? How clean, or if it's a phone, how clean is it on a scale of 1 to 10? I want us to omit ourselves and just give me a rating. Okay,
I
Richard
would
said
give
7. Are you using a phone
6.
or a mobile device? I think because I know if it's a phone, sometimes we get to clean it subconsciously. Anybody else? Okay, a laptop. All right, that's a good one. Shegun said 5. Okay, okay. How about you, Timmy? On a scale of 1 to 10, how clean is your laptop screen? 7. Okay, I will take your word for it. That's a good one. So honesty, being honest, said 5. Thank you very much. That's a good one as well, although still hanging on the balance. So learn to wipe the keyboard or just clean it on a regular basis. If it's weekly or when you notice it's getting dirty. Then the third one would be to clean your system thoroughly. Now, many of us are very guilty of this one, although it's not easy to lose and clean. Although it's not so difficult, but not so easy as well. But I think in the course of this lesson, we'll look into how to open your system if you haven't done that already, and how to go about it. Not too technical, but on a basic level, you should be able to open your system and clean it thoroughly. You can dust it. Now, every 3 to 6 months. Now, because of the way the system works, the cooling aspect tends to how do I explain this now? There's an inflow and outflow of air going through your system. It's just like an AC or a fan. Now, from the front of the fan, you get to experience cool breeze. But if you check the back, it's always dusty or it has a lot of dead particles. The same thing happens with your system board. If you open your system, if you haven't cleaned it in the last 2 or 3 months, I'll bet you almost every part, particularly the areas that are close to the fan, would be dusty. So every 3 to 6 months, endeavor you clean your system thoroughly. You can take it to a technical guy if you're scared, because I had this issue when I was I think I was in school then, I was learning computer A+, and I was trying to fix my system myself. Now I had an idea to a limited extent. I wasn't a pro then, but I felt okay, I could do it. But the long story short, I ended up spoiling the system. Now, I fixed what I wanted to do, but I created more issues on the system. So I think one of the lessons from this whole training, or at the end of this class, would be how we can actually get to open our system at a basic level. If you're not yet a professional at that, don't go beyond the areas you can handle. But then I think cleaning it shouldn't be so much of a task. Would look into how to assemble a laptop or a desktop. Although the slide was made with a desktop, but I will still touch the laptop aspects a little. Okay, then the last one, which that's on this section, would be to power down your system or reboot it regularly. Now, this is one trick. I call it a cheat code when it comes to fixing computers, some computer issues. Always power down your system on a regular basis. Most times when we are caught up with a lot of unfinished business, we tend to want to sleep the system or hibernate it or put it in a form of not shutting it down. Now, when we do that consistently over a long period of time, it affects the system performance. So while you don't have to power it down every night, if you're using a recent system, try adopting the measure of rebooting your system regularly, once in a week or in 5 days or so, if you are the type that keeps your system. Like I sometimes do that, but I always make sure at the end of the week, I close down every application I'm working, save and close down, then shut down or restart the system. Now, what that does is it will help free up memory that is making your system run slowly. If you notice your system or your phone is running slowly, try rebooting it. Do it regularly. All right, now the next one is maintaining your hard drive. Your hard drive. Many of us may not know, but the hard drive is one of the weakest links when it comes to computer performance. One of the weakest links. If your hard drive is faulty, it has a way of affecting the overall performance of the system. So the first point here will be to defragment your hard drive. Defragment your hard drive. Now, this is just the process of reorganizing the data on the hard drive so that it can speed up file access. What it does, it breaks down the file into smaller bits and helps you access or helps the computer system access files faster. Now, you can do this on your system by going to your control panel. Then I think System and Security tab, you get to find that feature there, the fragment of the hard drive. The next one will be backing up of your data. Many of us may not do this as well, but it's a very important and critical step for maintaining your system. Always back up your data. You don't know what may happen at any point in time. So once in a week, it's very important that you back up your data, especially if you're working on a very important a project. If you're working on something that you know it is non-negotiable that you back up your data regularly. Then the next one on how to maintain your PC under the hard drive aspect is configuring your startup. Configuring your startup. Now, if there's one thing I know slows down PCs, it is applications that run on startup. So once in a while, well, not only once in a while, but then on a regular basis, check up your startup section of the computer. It's on your task manager. Check the applications that are running on startup. If it's not a crucial one, you can deactivate or disable it. Are we still with me? Hello, can we
Yes,
still
we
hear
can hear
me?
you, Mr. Vincent. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So configuring your startup regularly. Then the next one is run a disk cleanup. Do this every now and then. You can free up your space from your hard drive by running your disk cleanup regularly, and also remove temporary files. Now, if you check the file storage of your system or your phone, sometimes you see some files that are termed temp files, and these are temporary files, and sometimes they may be extra large and just an accumulation of files that have been stored from the running process of your system. So once in a while, try to free up space by deleting some of these files. Then the last part under maintaining of your hard drive would be to install major updates. Now, every now and then, try to check for updates on the system and install it. Install updates to help maintain your system health and performance as well. Okay, now looking at it from the software aspect, one of the major issues from the software aspect will be antiviruses or viruses. So the first thing to protect your system from viruses will be to always install an antivirus and always update it. Update it. If your system is not set to automatic updates, check for it and update to remove any existing malwares. Now, this malwares, they are regularly evolving. And I say evolving, computer hackers or what's the word again? People who are trying to steal your data or infiltrate your system are regularly coming up with new or developed viruses. So when you see or get to receive any update from an antivirus, it's more or less like a countermeasure for these new viruses. So it will do you well and do your system well to always update, always update your antivirus. Then for software protection, this is for your Windows or your accounts. Change your passwords regularly. Change your passwords regularly. One of the easiest way for hackers to gain access to your device is through a cyber attack where they steal your login credentials. So this is for your emails, for your online accounts. If you notice any tentative breach or potential threats, the first thing you do, change your password. Then the next one would be check for firmware updates. Okay, I think I've already explained this. Now, for your phones too, sometimes when you get a phone, I think the first few months you receive updates automatically, but sometimes they don't send it to you. You have to check for it. Then you say, okay, this update is available, and you download and install. I think I've explained that as well. Most of these things are countermeasures for the evolving threats that are coming up. So any update you get to receive or you search for and you see, please update them. Now, the last one on this my segment would be managing your files. Managing your files. How do you maintain your files? How do you manage your files on your system? Now, many of us may not know, but when your desktop is filled with a lot of icons, files, it slows it down. Okay, just to ensure we are following, can any of us, on a scale of 1 to 10, how spacious is your desktop? That's considering the icons on it. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the space on your desktop as of now? You can use the chat box or unmute yourself and share with me your rating. 1 to 10. How free is your desktop now? Are we hearing? Okay, Richard said 4. Okay, that's below average. All right.
We didn't
Thank
get
you
to
very
that
much.
question you answer.
Okay, I said on a scale of 1 to, we are looking at how to maintain your files. And I said your desktop, somehow the quantity of icons or files on it can slow down the device. So I'm asking, right now on your computer desktop or on your PC, what is the rate of space available on it? If you were to rate the space on your desktop from 1 to 10, how would you rate it? 1 means there is literally no space. 2, 3, 4. If you say 10, it means your desktop is virtually empty. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the space on your desktop? Did you get the question?
Yes, I got the question, sir.
Okay, so you can just answer directly.
Okay, sir.
If honest said 5. I need one more answer, then we can proceed. Anybody? One more answer, then we proceed. Anybody else? Shall I what is on the class? Mteni Abdulatif. Okay, should I said 4? All right, thank you very much for your responses. I just wanted to be sure we're also following. Okay, now the first step you may want to note here would be to move. You can create a folder, then move similar files to that folder, to each folder. So like I did for mine, I have a folder for work documents. So every document that comes from work goes into that folder. I have a folder for let's say games. Every game I have on the system, the soft copy, the raw files are in that folder. I have a folder for PDF files. I have a folder for different file formats. So now this would help to maintain the system performance, and it also helps you to easily track or access those files. The next one will be to delete unused programs. Now, one of the ways you can free up memories from your system is to remove unnecessary programs. This also applies to mobile devices. Sometimes you have a lot of apps on your phone, and sometimes you get notifications from, I think, Google or so, advising you to, you know what, remove this. It's been a while you use this application. Why not just remove it? So one key feature or aspect of maintaining your device, not just your PC right now, is freeing up space. And a good way to do that would be to delete unused programs. If there's a software or like I do now, when I'm trying to work with it, I try as much as possible to limit the number of software that I install. Now, sometimes you may get a very powerful machine, and you feel okay. It's 32 gig RAM, 1 TB hard drive space. It's running 2.9 gigahertz, whatever. Now, even though it feels like it can accommodate a lot of programs and softwares, it is still it is still ideal to limit the numbers of programs you install on your system, or once in a while delete unused ones. If I'm going to be installing the Adobe Suite, for example, I try as much as possible to install only the software I need. So it comes in a package. You have your Photoshop, Corel, Illustrator, After Effects. Now, when you have that kind of suite, most times, depending on how powerful our machine is, we just want to know what to install everything. But what you really need is just Illustrator or After Effects or InDesign. So that move may over time deplete the performance of your processor. So an ideal move or an ideal option would be install as minimal as possible. Install what you need to use per time. If you need to use another software for just that project, install when you're done. Well, this is just from my own personal opinion and how I work. When I'm done with a software I know I won't be using for a long time, I just uninstall it from my system. I have enough space, but then I prefer to keep my system running at an optimal rate. Just like we said at the beginning of this class, an average on a PC or a computer device is built to last for an average of 5 to 8 years. Now, it doesn't mean after 5 to 8 years, it gets damaged, but it begins to deteriorate after then. It could last for 10 years, it could last for more. But how we maintain it can somehow, to a good extent, determine if it will even go 4 or 3 years. All right, then the next one of maintaining your files will be to clear out your recycle bin. For some of us who delete files and just where there's the option to permanently delete or just delete. Now, you know, when you delete, it goes to your recycle bin. Now, recent devices, mostly on your mobile phones, not on your PC, like the Google files, they give you a time span of 30 days or 60 days, after which they will delete the files for you. But when you're working with your PC, files can stay in your recycle bin for as long as you leave it there, which is not actually an ideal feature when you want to maintain your system. Now, because the phone is a more improved version of um, our computer, depending on the spec you are using. Some of these features are automated, but on your computer system, try to clear out your recycle bin every maybe 2 weeks or 1 month. 2 weeks or 1 month. So that would also help to free up clogged up spaces on your hard drive that were not properly cleared. So once in a month, check your recycle bin for files that you may have also deleted accidentally. Now, this can also help you get your files back. In case you mistakenly deleted a file and you don't know where to how it's where it went to or how it came about, check your recycle bin, delete the file you know you're no longer in use of it. If you see the ones that you may still need or you deleted accidentally, you could restore those ones. Now, the last, okay, not the last one, I think I have like 2 more here. Remove temporary internet files. Now, still on the temp files on your system, learn to clear your browser cache. After browsing for a long, maybe 2 months or so, if you don't clear the cache, it tends to affect the browser performance and to a large extent, the system's speed as well. So one of the ways to speed up your computer system is to remove temporary internet files. On your Google Chrome, there's the aspect where you can clear your browser cache. Always do, if you're experiencing any glitch or any issue surfing the internet, sometimes clearing these temp files can also help fix those issues. And then the last one here is to transfer your files to the cloud. Transfer your files to the cloud. So if you have a cloud storage account, one of the surest way to, or I won't say sure, but it's a very effective way to retain data over a long period of time. Hard drives can get damaged. External hard drive can get some are corrupted. Flash drives can be damaged as well. Same with your phones or SD card. But there's a very little chance of you losing your files when you store them on your on cloud storage. I still have files I kept since 2010 or 2012 or so on my Google, I think it's 12 or 13 on my Google account on my cloud. So learn to store some files as well on your cloud when your system is running low. If you've almost exhausted your hard drive space, transfer some of your files to the cloud. All right, that being said, okay, just one more tip before we enter our slide would be avoid overheating. This is a very common practice we've been taught since primary school about computer likes cold environments. So if you're working with a system where the atmosphere or the environment is hot, it tends to affect the performance and the lifespan of the system. And sometimes this thing goes not just with laptops, even phones. I think we have phone coolers now. Yeah. So when you're playing games on your system, sometimes you notice it's a bit hot. There is this particular gadget I think they place at the back of phones to ensure that it stays cool or cold. The same thing with your system. You could get a fan or get anything that would ensure that okay, the air around it is cooled. If it's hot, it tends to affect the performance and the lifespan of the device over
Sorry,
time.
Mr. Vincent. Mr. Vincent, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
You've been on a single slide since. I don't know if
Okay,
it's
yes. I'm yet to enter the slide. I'm just doing an overview.
all right.
So I'm done with that, and so we are going into the slide now.
All right, thank you, thank you.
Okay, so okay. PC maintenance from here. Can you all see my slide?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Okay, so I'm taking it from the first page again. I was trying to establish some understanding before we go into the main slide itself. Okay, so it says here PC maintenance involves routine checks. I think we've touched this already. It involves routine checks, cleaning and update and repair that are done on the computer system to ensure that it functions optimally. And the purpose of this is to prevent hardware damage, to also improve the system, to enhance longevity and ensure data safety. Okay, we've touched a lot of these things. Just as I said earlier, the system is not designed to not go for even if you buy a new system, it's not designed to pack up in the space of 1 or 2 years. It's supposed to last you 4, 5 years, or 5 to 8 years. But depending on how you maintain it, you can shorten that lifespan. And also systems performance as well. Sometimes we try as much as possible to upgrade some systems, whereas optimally utilizing the system can give you a good performance as well. Sometimes we think, okay, let me increase the RAM, let me do this, let me do that. But the question is, how are you running the current spec of that system? You get a system that is running maybe 4 gig RAM. You don't need to install over 10 or 20 applications on it. There is no way it will affect the performance of the system. And also we talk about ensuring data safety or installing of antivirus, updating the antivirus, always check for updates and firmware updates, and also changing your system's password if you detect any potential threats. Okay, the next slide we are looking at, okay, why is PC maintenance important? We've also touched this to avoid system breakdown, to prevent data loss, to reduce repair costs. This is a very important aspect as well. Sometimes we tend to spend a lot of money on gadgets and devices. Well, from my experience, I can tell you, if you do maintain your system, be it a phone or a PC or a tablet, if you maintain it appropriately, if you follow the right measures, if you handle it well, you don't really have to spend so much on repair because there will be no damage in the first place. The next one is to enhance PC's performance, yeah, and to also maintain system security. Okay. Now, typical hazards that are threatening a PC. The first one here says is static electricity. Static electricity, a buildup of electric charge that can damage sensitive computer components. Now, one important aspect of maintaining your PC is be mindful of where you plug your system and under what electrical conditions you plug it. Just like we have here, a static charge can affect the not just the operations, the PC, the whole PC itself. Then the preventive means here says use anti-static wrist straps or maps during hardware repairs. We will get into this when we are looking at fixing or loosening of the CPU. Number two says power fluctuation. If you notice your light is fluctuating, it's going up, coming down, getting high and low. First thing first is to just unplug it from the socket. If you're having an inconsistent power supply, do not plug. Or like we saw, or like we can see here, you can use a UPS or a voltage regulator. Use a UPS or a voltage regulator. But three says power surge. Power surge. Now, a surge protector or a UPS can fix this. Now, nobody anticipates power surge. If you don't, it's not like power fluctuation that the light is going up and down. Sometimes it just goes very high. And what that can do is, like we see here, it can fry. We all live in Nigeria where in one way or the other we've experienced extreme power surge whereby something got burnt, maybe your TV or the fan or something in the house. Before you could get to your socket, it was already smelling burnt. So one way to fix this, we used to use surge protectors. So this thing can absorb or stabilize or retain the surge, the voltage before it gets to your computer. Another hazard which we've looked into would be dust environment. Dust environment. Now, because of the airflow coming in and out of your system, dust can affect the functioning of your PC and also cause overheating. Just like we said earlier, do a regular cleanup and also ensure proper ventilation. Make sure that the air around your computer is cool. If you can get an AC, fine. If you have a fan close to it, it works as well. Okay, types of PC continue. We have excessive ambient temperature. This still has to do with a well-ventilated room, moisture and humidity. Always keep your PC dry. Now, I remember that I talked about dusting your keyboard and your mouse. Of course, you may want to use a damp cloth, but not too wet. Not too wet. If it's too wet, it will definitely affect that component of the PC. Then also try to keep your PC in a dry place as much as possible. Keep it far from the window, not because of the air, but if it rains or if it will be prone to water or any liquid, keep it close to where you know it doesn't come in contact with any liquid. Then also virus and malware. Always install antivirus on your system, and also update regularly. Now, this is just from my own personal experience and recommendation. If you have a PC, try to update your Windows Defenders. One of the most potent antivirus I have used. I've used a lot, but one of the most potent and effective one I know is the Windows Defenders. But you need to update it regularly to ensure optimal performance. Okay, the need for computer backups. We've also touched on this. When you say backup, you can create a copy of the file or the data just in case of a loss or damage. Now, the types of backup, you could use an external drive. You could use a flash drive, so it could be a backup device. You could also use the cloud. Google Cloud or Dropbox. Now, why is it important? It helps to prevent against data loss, hardware failure, theft, and virus attack. Now, under business, we call this business continuity. I've been working with computers for a long, long time, and I've been very careful. I'm very careful. I would like to call myself a very careful person, but I can count numerous times where I lost my hard drive. One time it was stolen. One time, I think while I was trying to plug it to a system to copy some file, it just got corrupted. One way or the other, these things are inevitable. I don't know if we've had this experience before. Sometimes your memory card gets corrupted, or you lost your phone and all that, and all your files were in that storage memory. So business continuity implies mitigative steps that you put in place in case of things like this. So imagine you keep all your files for the last 10 years on the hard drive. You've been storing it, every software, every the video you've gotten, material, books for the last 10 years. And one day it just packs up. Now this I remember then, somebody was like, don't you have a backup? I was like, it was the backup that got corrupted. So this is why the cloud storage is very important, because you can always retrieve it and restart from where the data loss took place. Okay, let's just move. I wanted to ask if we've had those experiences before, if we've had a time or a case where we lost files due to hardware failure. That's the flash drive or the hard drive, or the phone got missing, or the SD card got spoiled. How did we mitigate those issues? I think I should ask that. I've been talking for a while now. All right. Any one of us, Temi, Honesty, Shola, Abdulatif, I want us to get involved. Have we had scenarios or cases whereby we lost files through any of these means, hardware failure, thefts, or the flash drive or the drive got corrupted? How did we mitigate that scenario? What did we do? The floor is open for us to talk.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I lost.
I can't hear you clearly. Tell me, you
Yes,
want to
I'm
say
the one, sir.
something?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me now?
Yeah?
Can you hear me now?
A little. Okay.
I lost my data on the memory card.
Okay, so how was it a backup, or how did you come back? Let me use that word. Did you come back from the situation? Because for me now, there was a time it happened, I couldn't come back. Well, okay, I had some files stored somewhere on the cloud, but I had to restart gathering all the files. I had a lot of files I lost, a lot of video, because then I was studying, I was learning PHP, Python, and some other language. So I had a lot of video lessons on that hard drive. I had a lot of games. I had a lot of movies. I had a lot of pictures. Unfortunately, for the pictures, well, I had to re-download many of the games, and some of the softwares. But for the pictures, there was no way for me to get them again. But how did you come back from that situation? How did you get back, if
No,
you
sir.
did?
No, sir.
No?
I had to start from the scratch.
Okay. Oh, wow. All
But
right.
since then, I've been doing backups.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. All right. Honesty, Shola, Abdulatif. I have a chat. Okay, I did system restore to retrieve this information. Okay, we're still getting there. System restore will work for your local drive. If it's an external hard drive, the chances of it can work, but the chances are 50-50. All right, thank you, Honesty. Shola, are you with us? Richard, are you with us? David, Abdulatif. Anybody?
All right, good morning, sir.
Good morning, David.
Yes, sir. Okay,
So how
I
did okay.
do lost my file, even it was recent, it last year, right? Yes. I gave my flash drive to a colleague, so to get data from it. So by the time he returned the flash drive, hard disk drive rather, so I didn't need it at that time. So I had to travel from the region. So before I now know that I need to pick a file from the flash drive, unplugging it in, I discovered it's a different flash drive from mine. It wasn't mine. When you call the person, the annoying part is the person has formatted the flash drive I gave him, all the
Wow.
data of my life,
Wow. That's
and my posts, everything was gone. My pictures, everything, every valuable item I have there. The only ones I could now retrieve were the ones I have on the cloud, which are very minimal compared to what is in the drive. Praise the Lord, sir.
all right. Thank you very much. It's a funny but not too funny situation. I think when you're giving out your flash drive, the first thing you do is to ask first, because right from school to when I finished the years I've been working, people are always skeptical to give out their flash drive, especially when you have a lot of files in it. The first thing they will ask you is, does your system have a virus? Because I've had a case whereby I gave somebody I didn't give. I was trying to use my hard drive to fix somebody's system. Unplugging the thing, now I fixed the system, I did everything, but unknowing to me, the system had a virus. So by the time I unplugged the hard drive, just like you, it took me like some days to want to use my drive now. Plugging it to my system, all my files had become shortcuts. Everything. And these were like over 400 gig. All the files, I didn't know what to do. So the essence here is we have to embrace cloud storage. It's the future of data storage, and it's a very effective way of ensuring that even when we lose data, we can still get it back. So both, okay, Abdulatif said on my PC, unable to get it back, but on my phone, I usually save on my mail, my picture, video. So hold on. It will just come back once I log in. Okay, that's a very good one. The same thing we have with Google. Once I log in my Google account on any phone, I can get my pictures back because it's saved. So we have to embrace cloud or online storage, especially when the data is within uploadable range, maybe 10 gig, 20 gig of files. You can still store it on the cloud. Then if you're using an external hard drive that is almost filled up, let's say you have accumulation of files ranging 100 gig upwards. You have video lessons from your work. You have a lot of files. My advice would be that flash drive that hard drive should not be given out. on no condition should you use it to copy files to from another system. How I do it is I have is I call it a standby hard drive. It stays at home. It doesn't connect to any system apart from my system. Then I have a flash drive I can use to transfer files. So that hard drive, because of the quantity of data in it, and because of how difficult it will be to get them back if I lose them, and they are too large for me to upload them on the cloud, I make sure it doesn't go out. It stays inside. I can copy from the hard drive to my system, then copy from the system to your flash. But that hard drive will not touch any other system. That way, I'm able to minimize to a good extent the chances of that hard drive being corrupted by another system. All right, let's move on. The next slide looks at best practices for PC maintenance. Best practices for PC maintenance. Now, number one is to regularly update your software and your driver.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello, sir.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly.
To retrieve our lost file, can't we can use the command line tools now by typing check this or SFC.
Yes, you can do that, but the chances of you recovering, talking of recovering in terms of loss and also avoiding data corruption. So if you're using the command line to recover, the chances are still hanging in the balance. It depends on how the data was corrupted. I've had cases whereby I've successfully recovered files using the command tool, and I've also had cases where the same process led to a complete loss. Are you familiar with me?
Yes, I'm with you, sir.
Okay, now the thing with using a command line or the command prompt is it's a critical step. If you're going to be restoring, formatting, cleaning, or doing anything from the command end, you have to be very sure you can pull it through from start to finish, because any glitch, any mix-up at that point can completely damage the
Files.
hard drive. So most times, if it's not a professional, I don't recommend people using the command. And for me as well, I use it as a last resort. If I've tried everything I can to recover, restore, and it's not going, okay, I will tell the person, okay, this is the last option, but it's 50-50. It can go well and get your file back, or if it goes south completely. Your hard drive may be lost. Are we still here?
Yes, I'm with you, sir.
All right. So okay. So while in the best practice aspects, regularly update your software and your driver. This applies to both your phones and your PC. One way to ensure optimal performance and also data security is to update your softwares. It keeps your PC up to date with the relevant securities, because hackings, most times a doorway, one of the things I've seen from website development and hacking is one of the doorways through which hackers can access your system, be it a web system or your device, is outdated softwares. If your software is outdated, it's an open door for hackers to get in through. So always update your software and update your drivers. Then clean with the correct tools. Clean your hardware with the correct tool. Now, Okay, I don't want to go too much into that. Maybe later. Use surge protectors and UPF. I think these days we have a lot of surge protectors out there. So in order to ensure your system is safe from power surges and all those things, always use a surge protector. A UPF may be too big for a laptop now, but a surge protector comes in handy for almost every device, even your TV, your fridge, always have that. Then scan for viruses weekly. Now, these steps are what we need to do regularly. Scan for virus weekly. Keep your PC in a dust-free and cool environment. Always back up your data. If you take nothing from this class, these steps should be something you adopt daily on every of your device, both your PC. If you use a smart TV, this comes in handy as well. Updates regularly, clean with the correct tools. Surge protector uses because of our power system. Scan for the virus weekly. Keep your PC in a dust-free environment, and always back up. We cannot overemphasize that. Always back up. All right. Class activity. Okay. List 3 common hazards that can affect your PC. Number 1, how do you maintain personal computer? How do you maintain your personal computer or your phone currently? Then number 3 is a group discussion. What will happen if a student lost all their... Okay, I think we've almost touched it, but then for the sake of what is here, let's go through it. What will happen if a system lost all their assignment files a day before submission? Okay, so this is activity and discussion. You can all unmute yourself right now and let's have a talk on this. List in 3 common hazards that can affect your PC. Then number 2, how do you maintain your personal computer or your phone? Then number 3 will be a group discussion. What would happen if you were to lose or lost all your assignments a day before final submission? Okay, before we come in, let me just chip in a story I had. Okay, I was out of school then, but I was helping somebody do her projects, and I think we don't discuss this, but security as well is very important. The way you handle your device. Most times when we are going out, you don't just carry your laptop in any bag. You don't expose it to people to see. Now, I was helping somebody do her projects, and I was almost done, or I think I was done with my own aspect. It was a day before she was going to defend. A day before she was defend. So I was out of school then, but I went into the school since there was light. So I stayed in the hostel, and I slept in one of my junior colleagues' room then. It was in the hostel. So that night, they came, some thieves came. I think the door was opened, and they stole some laptops from the room. Now, they were very selective because I don't know what happened. We were only 4 in the room and we were deep asleep. So, and I kept that laptop on the desk, I think on the table. So we don't know who the guys were. They came around 1 a.m., came in, selectively picked the best laptops in the room and left. Fortunately for me, that lady's laptop it wasn't looking fine aesthetically. It was one of these old HP Elites, whatever. So I just at first I woke up, we were all ramping about like tifo. Then I was able to find the girl's laptop at the other part of the room. They kept it under the one bunk like that. So I took it 6 a.m. the next morning. I ran to her hostel and gave it to her. I was scared what would have happened if they really stole it. Now, the project was gone. That would be an extra year because all the files were in that project, and I will have to buy her a new laptop. So I just chip that in to help us to help us understand the concept of losing your assignments a day before final submission. It could be a project. Maybe you got a contract and it's something that has to do with documentation, and the day before you get to submit it, it all goes away. How do you handle that? All right, the floor is open for us to interact and discuss. I'm waiting. Are we still here?
Yes, sir. I'm still here.
All right, so okay, the floor is yours. We can all omit ourselves and talk.
Okay.
Let's have a discussion on this.
Sir, which of is it the number 2 question or number 3?
All of them. Okay, number 2 is a group discussion, so we're all going to discuss on it. You can share your experiences with some, or just share your opinion, an idea, or something about it. Number 1 and 2, anybody can answer that. Anybody or everybody.
Okay, number 2, the question was, how do you maintain your personal computer or phone
Yes.
currently? 1 is regular updates. Regular update of the software. Always run antivirus scan and clean the cache.
Okay. Let me ask you honestly. What phone do you use? An Android or an iPhone?
I use Android phone.
Okay. When last did you update your softwares on the Play Store?
When last? That was early January.
Wow, that's far. That's far. That's far. But updates come in like weekly, weekly. Yeah, weekly. But I mean, you need to update some of
No,
your
update is
software.
normal. I'm talking about cleaning of my cache through the process.
Yeah, even the catch, you need to clean that. Okay, one of the things I have seen that makes that depletes the performance of phones. Thank God we have phones now that are running at 128 gig ROM, 256 gig ROM. If you are using a 32 gig ROM phone, by I think by the first few months, when the apps have expanded, you would not really have enough space again. And before you know, you're trying to open an app, it's taking time. You get to clean, you'll be tasked with cleaning the cache, maybe every day, Seth.
Yes.
Because the apps.
Because I'm using 128 gig, so.
Yeah, that's like a game changer somehow, because you still have enough space for the system to run with. If it was 32 or 64, you will start experiencing some lag after a while, because every app, the more you use them, the more they expand in terms of their memory. So cleaning your cache is good. Okay, that's a good one. Updating your applications as well is also good. Okay. I want somebody else now to also look at number 1 and answer for us. List 3 common hazards that can affect your PC or your phone. Anybody?
I would like to say dust or air.
Dust.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dust
Yeah. Okay.
particles.
Dust majorly. Yeah. Okay. That's one. Okay. Have you ever heard the scenario? I don't know how true it is, but I try to take precautions as much as I can, that when you're having lightning, you unplug devices. How true is that?
It
Maybe when
is
you read it.
partially
Eh?
true, and it is partially true, but it
Okay,
depends
okay.
on the wiring of that environment. If the building is not properly arted, it can cause damage to your devices, either computer or whatever that is plugged at that moment when there is lightning.
Okay, okay. Yeah, okay. That means that's another potential hazard depending on how the house is wired. Okay, that's a good one. That's a good. All right. Now, lastly, the group discussion.
Power outage can
Does anybody have an experience where you lost a file close to when you needed to submit it, like an online, not a physical one now? It may be a file, or okay, you went for an interview and you went with an online document, only for you to get there and it's no longer on your phone. How do you mitigate that? How do we fix that? Are we still here? I wanted
Yes,
to
I think it
discuss.
happened to me one time like that when I have a presentation. A day to the presentation, I lost that file. In fact, I don't know how it happened. But the only thing that saved me was that I sent a copy to my boss to preview, because she said she wants to see it before she will allow me to present it the following day. So it was that copy I sent through my email attachment that I have to go and download and then do some adjustment on the day of the presentation. That was what saved me.
Wow, thank you. That's a good one. I think my CEO would always say, when you're sending mails, always put 2 or 3 people in copy. I think that's another advantage. Just like you said now, Richard, I've also had cases whereby someone came for an interview or he came to do a presentation, and it always happens like that mysteriously. You just can't find you compiled the document some days back, you saved it on your system or on your phone, and on the day of the presentation, maybe one page is missing or the whole page is missing or there's a mix-up somewhere. One of the ways we can actually mitigate this thing is have multiple locations where you save files. You could have it on your Google storage, have it on your phone, have it on your system, have it on an email, have it on different locations, so you can easily access it. If you can't find it on one angle or on one area, you can always check, okay, I have it here, I have it here, or I have it here. Thank you very much, Richard. Any other person before we move on from here? I need one more.
Sir,
One more. Okay, Timmy.
Tim, I just want to add to that.
Okay.
Okay, it's best to have backups. Then, if possible, to have backups of the backups.
Yes, that's very true. That's very true. That's like how would I put it now? Insuring your insurance, backing up of your backup, because sometimes the backup itself may be affected. So it's good to have a maybe we call it plan C, plan B, have multiple areas that you use as your backup. Thank you very much, Jamie. I see Isaac. Isaac, you're on the call. I haven't heard your voice. Isaac and Shola, are you guys with us? Isaac and Shola, are you guys with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, we are having a discussion. Do you have any opinion, any idea, or any experience to also share?
Yes, for the group discussion, that's number 3. I don't have any personal experience, but one thing I make sure I do most times when I have when I need to send mails like that, I also blind copy my second email, the backup, most especially if the document is very important. I just blind copy my other email or copy depending on whom I'm sending it to. So I cannot have a copy in case I don't want the person to know it's going. Just backup means.
All right. Thank you very much, Shola. Thank you very much. I hope we're all learning from these experiences. The idea of having this group discussion is to have us hear what we've seen or experienced individually, then bring this scenario into the group for us to pick out one or two lessons that we can apply and avoid similar cases happening with us. So, like we first said, backing up when you're sending out emails, blind copy yourself or your other email or somebody else. Like Demi also said, always back up your backup just in case. Thank you all very much for your contribution. Let's move on to the next one. Types of PC maintenance. So we have three, according to what we have here. We have the preventive maintenance, we have the corrective maintenance, and we have the predictive maintenance. I think the preventive and the predictive almost sounds alike, but let's dive into what it lies. So preventive maintenance, we say here, is there are routine tasks that we perform or carry out to prevent system failure. An example would be dusting of the laptop component. Now, while the dust in itself may not outrightly or initially cause any issue, when they accumulate, they can affect the system. So to avoid fixing the system when it's bad, you can just clean before it gets to that point. Number two is updating antivirus on software. Just as I said earlier, an outdated antivirus or any software itself is a doorway for hackers or intruders to infiltrate your system or your laptop or device or even a phone. So when you update them, when you update your software and update your antivirus, they help to prevent any risk that may want to come up, any attack or intrusion. Then number three is running your disk cleanup and defragmentation. Just as I said at the beginning of the class, one of the weakest link for system performance is your hard drive, your hard disk. So one way to reduce or prevent at all this risk from being exploited or becoming a threat to the PC is to do a regular cleanup and defragmentation. I think I will still show us how to defragment our system, but I think I may have to stop sharing from here. Okay, let me just show us from my PC how to defragment our system. If you can see my screen, the first thing you have to go to your control panel. Yes. Let me start from the. Then under System and Security, you come to Window Tools. Now you can free up space. This will do a filter of your software depending on the sizes. So you could see from the largest size to the smallest size, and you could pick out the ones you want to remove. Then next to it is defragmenting and optimizing your hard drive. So this when you run this, it frees up space on your hard drive and helps you optimize them for better performance.
Sir,
I believe we, hello?
sir, please, I can't see your screen.
Oh, sorry, let me, just hold on. I think I was sharing it. Just hold on.
I'm not into. Please let me to take it to quickly serve me food so that I can take my job almost 12.
Can you sit down?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
we are
Okay.
speaking.
So I said, to defragment your hard drive, you have to go to your control panel. Can we see it?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then under system and security. So the window tools, that's the last feature. So the first one is free up disk space. What this will do is it will do a filter of the software you have installed on your system by their memory size, from the largest to the smallest. Then you can now pick out the ones you want to uninstall or remove to free up space on your hard drive. Then the next feature beside it is defragment and optimize drive. So when you run this, it breaks your hard drive into bit space, helps you to free up space and optimize the hard drive for better performance. So we can do this at our own free time. If you need to also create or format your hard disks in terms of partitioning it, you can also use this, but this is where my focus is on today. All right, let's go back to. All right, okay, so that's that for preventive maintenance. The goal of this is to prevent problems before they occur. Most of the times, if you're using a new system or a phone or any device, but for those that missed the early minutes of the class, most of these devices and gadgets are not designed to pack up in a space of 1 or 2 years. I know we are in Nigeria and sometimes we get bored of something after 1 year and we just sell it or throw it away and get a new one. But if you can actually maintain your gadgets, they could last and have, for the PCs in particular, they can last for as long as 5 to 8 years. 5 to 8 years. For the phones, I think I've used the phone for close to 7 years. It's just about maintaining it. It can still work optimally for that range of time before it begins to go down. All right, so the goal here, like I said, is to prevent problems before they occur. That way you don't have to go and start fixing them. One thing I do for myself is I try as much as possible to maintain my devices so I don't go to Computer Village all the time. I haven't had pleasant experiences going there in the past. So I try to know what, instead of me waiting for the system to get bad, then trying to repair, I do a good preventive system to ensure it doesn't get bad to that point. I have to go and repair it. But then sometimes these things are unavoidable. But then we do our part. Number 2 is corrective maintenance. Corrective maintenance. Now, the goal here is to fix the issue and restore the system back to its working condition. So this just implies repairing or replacing of the component after a fault has occurred. corrective maintenance, repair or replace of components after a fault has occurred. Examples will be replacing a dead hard drive, reinstalling a corrupted software, and fixing a crashed operating system. Okay, now I'm not so much a fan of corrective. Now, this is my personal opinion. I'm just sharing it. I'm not so much of a fan of corrective maintenance. I try as much as possible to not allow the system get bad. If it does, my personality is the type that would prefer to just throw it away and buy a new one. But I'm not advising you do that. But then, from my experiences so far, if you are going to be repairing your devices, be it a phone, be it a computer system, I would recommend factory or what's the word again? A credible source of repair. Don't just pick up or don't just go to any roadside repairer, and especially when you're dealing with the screens. The screens. I've been working with systems for a long time now, and if there's one thing I have experienced with devices is if you're going to change the screen of any, be it a phone, be it a laptop, use a factory screen. That's the one coming from the factory itself, or the one coming from the manufacturers themselves. You know, here in Lagos, they'll tell you we have original, and we have new and follow come. They use those terms at Ikeja in Computer Village. But if you can, use the manufacturer's own. If you can go to CalCare, I think they get their parts directly from the manufacturer. Last you longer. I can't count the times people have come to me. Oh, I fixed my screen is bad again, and I asked him, where did you go? Oh, he or she went to Computer Village, and you picked up, or you met somebody from one shop. Now, those people can give you a 50-50 chance of fixing your device without any issue arising afterwards. But to give you a better chance, use the manufacturer's components. Go to CalCare or the office of that brand. If it's a Windows a system, go to their office, let them repair or replace that component with the original part that was damaged. Predictive maintenance. The goal here is to anticipate and avoid. It's almost similar to preventive, but here you can anticipate it. Avoid system failure through early detection. Okay. I think the difference between this and the preventive is you can detect this early on and avoid it from getting worse. Now, here says monitoring systems performance and predicting issues before they happen using software tools. Okay, it's a close one with the preventive, because when we ask you to scan your device weekly, it's not because there is a virus per se. Sometimes it's to prevent. Sometimes it's because, okay, issues may have been coming up that indicates that, okay, this system has been corrupted, but it's not yet at the full phase. So do a scan, do a cleanup. So the difference between the predictive and the preventive is for the preventive one, you cannot see, you're avoiding outrightly. you're avoiding outrightly, your system is up and running, but just to avoid any unforeseen issues, you do your scan, you do your checkup. It's like going to the doctor for regular checkup every month. Now, there are some months you may feel healthy. You're feeling healthy, you know you're healthy, you've checked yourself at home, you're healthy, but just to still prevent any unforeseen or any issue that may want to arise, you still go for your checkup. That's we call that preventive. For the predictive, you go for your checkup monthly, but there's some months you may not feel very strong. You're okay, you're still doing well, but you can tell when your body is not as maximal operation. Then at that stage, in order to avoid it becoming worse or getting to the point where you now have to begin to outrightly treat it, you do a predictive maintenance. Oh, I think I'm having malaria. Can I get preventive malaria drugs? You're not sure, but you are seeing some symptoms, and then you take steps to mitigate or to avoid it becoming what you think it is. So that's corrective. Sorry. The maintenance we have here, number 1 is preventive, number 2 is corrective, number 3 is predictive. I hope we've been able to, from what I've explained so far, identify the difference. Can I ask before we move? So I am sure we're getting it. Do we understand the difference between these 3?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for answering, Timmy. I'm still going to ask. So what is the difference between predictive and preventive?
Okay, so preventive, it's basically precaution methods, like to avoiding a particular issue, like doing things beforehand to avoid a particular like problem or issue. Why predictive? Predictive is most likely using the past, let's say past encounters, like kind of like predict a current situation or a future situation, something like that. But it's a bit similar,
Okay.
but the thing is that predictive just like predicts from past issues and all.
Okay, thank you. Before you go, you use a phone, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, how do you deploy a preventive or a preventive measure and a predictive measure on your phone? What are the now? This is a personal question, so you can just think on how you do it and tell me. It doesn't have to be in a coordinated answer.
Oh, no problem, sir. Okay, for the preventive, when I got the phone, I installed antivirus for it. I saw that it had inbuilt antivirus, but I installed another antivirus. That's an example of the preventive.
Okay.
But for the predictive, there was a time when my phone was overheating. It was overheating, so I had to turn it off. So since then, usually I turn it off like, let's say, once or twice after like 2 days to avoid errors like that happened in the past.
Okay, thank you. That's for the software parts. Anybody else? How about the hardware parts?
Okay, for the hardware parts, let's see. After I got the phone, I bought screen guard to protect the screen.
Yeah.
And pouch to protect the back in case it falls and all. But for the predictive part, let's say I had I actually don't know what to do for the predictive one.
Okay, I think I don't know, but I want us to still talk on this. I think every phone comes with its own screen guard, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
But then we buy another one. Abi?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I think that will be predictive because the manufacturer believes or knows that at one point or the other, the phone is going to come in contact with probably a hard surface or fall off our hands. So every phone, or I think for the past 4 or 5 years now, most phones, most smartphones come with their own pouch. It could be a transparent one and a screen guard, albeit a very slim one. So, but we know that the pouch and the screen guard is not strong enough. So we buy another one. I think that's a predictive maintenance move, because we, at one point or the other, the phone is going to fall, maybe not from a very far height, but it may fall off the desk, fall off the bed, or something just hits it. So we buy the pouch and the phone to avoid or to prevent the predictive damage that may want to come up because of that impact. So I would term that predictive, because we anticipate that it would happen. Does anybody have any contrary or supportive opinion on that?
Yes, let me contribute to that.
Okay.
I think the major difference between preventive and predictive is that preventive is a situation whereby you take good care of your device, or let's say phone or laptop, to make sure that it's always performing optimally from time to time. Why the predictive has to do with when you notice a degradation, a kind of decline in performance. Maybe the battery that used to last 3 hours before is now 1 hour, it goes off. You know that battery is no longer give you the optimum performance. So predictive maintenance tells you to replace that battery, and then maybe the performance is not optimum anymore, of any component of that device or phone or laptop. You quickly find a way to replace it before it before it will disappoint you one day. That is predictive. Why preventive is regular maintenance to keep it at the 100% performance from time to time. Thank you.
All right. And thank you very much, Richard. I think you've nailed it precisely. Thank you very much, Temi. You also gave a very valid points. All right, let's move on to the next slide. Comparison table. Okay, here we are comparing types of maintenance, preventive, corrective, and predictive. Okay, like we said, when it happens, the purpose and the example. For the preventive, it's before the problem occurs. Just like we said, is to avoid the looming issue. It doesn't get to that point where we now need to repair it. I think I have a chart. Attendance. Okay. Please post the attendance again. The host. Just hold on. They will post it again for us to fill. All right. So when we say preventive, when it happens is before the problem occurs. It is to avoid fixing the issue, just like we see in the purpose. It is to avoid issues. Example is this dusting of the components. In corrective is when the issue already arises or there's a fault, to restore or resolve. An example would be to replace a damaged hard disk. Then predictive, like we said again, based on performance. When you see that it's beginning to decline, then you take steps to mitigate or fix so it doesn't go bad or restore back to an optimal state. So we said the purpose is to forecast failure, to save cost. An example is hard disk drive health monitoring tool. All right, moving to the next one. Class activity. Okay. Identify which type of maintenance applies in each scenario. Okay, so this is a class activity. If you can hear me, Just type your answer on the chat box, number 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Your laptop fan starts making noise. You open it to clean the dust. What type of maintenance is this? Number 2, your laptop crashed and you reinstall the OS. What type of maintenance is this? Number 3, you run a diagnostic tool that predicts your hard drive may soon fail. What type of maintenance is this? So you can type your answer on the chat box, or if you want to say it directly, just unmute yourself and let's hear it.
All right, Mr. Vincent, please,
Yes.
this is to bring to your attention that we'll be going on break by 12.
Okay.
So just said I should remind you.
All right, thank you. That's 4 minutes from now. All right. So would please I would need your answers before we round up this session, before we go on our break. You can type your answers on the chat box, or you can just say it's a very simple question. I believe and I know we all know the answers, but just to follow on with the class activity, can we answer the question? Okay, I have an answer from Timmy. Number 1 is preventive. Number 2 is corrective. Number 3, okay. Anybody else? Anybody else? Before we go on break. Still waiting for our answers. Richard, okay. Okay, David, honesty. Okay, I think it's a very simple and straightforward answer. We all got it correctly. So it's 11:57 and our break is in the next 2 or 3 minutes. So far, do we have any question before we go on break?
Yes, on this class activity,
Okay.
I disagree that the number 1 is preventive.
Nice.
Because it is already making noise. That shows that it's already showing sign that it's going to have problem. So that one is not preventive. Preventive is maintaining it even when there is no problem at all.
Okay.
So it should be predictive that this thing will soon get problem. So it is predictive, corrective, and predictive. That's my own opinion. Anyway.
You're actually correct, sir. Number 1 is predictive, because just like you said, it's an indicator that something is wrong, even if it's not a major issue. It's an indicator. So cleanliness is to prevent the issue from escalating. So that's you're predicting the move. So you're actually correct. Number 1 is predictive. Number 1 is if we look at now, but then the two, they are closely knitted. Number 2 is corrective, sure. Number 3, you run a diagnostic tool that predicts. Number 3 would be predictive as well. Number 3 should be predictive, but number 3 looks like preventive. I would say it looks like preventive if the tool has not yet predicted, then it will be a preventive maintenance. If it has, then we call it predictive maintenance. So nice one, Mr. Richard. All right, any other person? We're just okay, it's 12 already. We will be going on break now. I think by 12:30 or so, we'll be coming back to continue the class and round off as soon as you can. So I'll hand over to the host now to take.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Vincent. So On this note, we'll be going on a 30 minutes break. So by 12:30, we'll be back here. Thank you. Mr. Vincent, are you there?
Hello, yeah, okay. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. So we can continue the class. We are back from the break because the cybersecurity part will be coming up by 1:30.
That means I have to finish up before 1:30, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no problem. Okay, I believe we're all here, so we're going to continue from where we stopped, and I'm going to try and make a summary of the other parts. Just a minute. Okay, we're looking at the factors that are driving PC upgrades and maintenance. Now, I kind of noticed the context of the materials were made from desktop angle, and many of us, given the time we're in right now, may not be looking at working with desktops. I think in almost every office now, even though there are still desktops, but the most commonly used computer devices right now are laptops of different grades. So because of that, I'll just be making a summary of some things that we can get the major things we need to learn. All right. So when we talk about PC upgrade, it just refers to enhancing the computer's performance by either replacing or adding some hardware components, and the goal is to make it faster and more efficient. So the purpose by which we do this is to improve the performance, just as I said earlier, and also to increase the capacity and probably add more features on our system. So one of the most continuously upgraded components of a computer, well, not one, but most of them, either the RAM, if we're looking at it from the desktop angle, the CPU, the main board, the video card, or the hard drive. Most times when we talk about upgrade on computer systems, it falls within these 5 components. Most times you hear people say, "Oh, I want to upgrade my RAM, or my system is not going fast. Can I change the RAM or the hard drive, or can I change the board if the issue is very critical?" So then also we have to look at the video card. If, for example, if you're a gaming type, or if you're into multimedia works, you want to edit or create a video, or edit songs or sounds. If you're working with maybe applications like Adobe a Premiere Pro, After Effects, and some other heavy, we call them heavy lifting softwares, your video card would need to be upgraded. When you try to play games on your system as well, you would need, if the inbuilt or the one that came with it is not large enough, you would need um, a large or an upgraded video card. So the drivers for PC upgrades, number one, from what we have here is technological changes on or in computers hardware. Some of the drivers for upgrades are the changes of sub there. We can see evolution of components, integration of new technologies, some smaller, faster, and more efficient. Then the impacts of maintenance. I remember when I think mainframe computer used to fill the whole room. If you want to use or if you want to own a mainframe, now then it was still much expensive, and it was also very, very large. But over time, computers have tended to evolve, and part of that evolution has been upgrade. They've become more smaller in size, but more efficient in performance. So, I also remember when we had RAMs of 512 MB, and they were like the same feeling you would get when you have when you purchase a device that has maybe 16 gig RAM, maybe a phone of 16 gig RAM or 64 gig RAM. That was the same impressions that 512 MB RAM had there, because that was the highest. But down to the fact that changes have been made, at that now, I don't think any device, well, I won't say any, there are some, but you cannot run a modern day software with a RAM of 512 MB or one gig safe. And somehow too, I've also been able to trace the changes in hardware with respect to upgrades of the system. I'm talking from phones, and now I remember when phone used to have 1 gig RAM, and those were like the reigning phones then. I think it was some of this Android initially. Then 2 gig became a big deal. Then from 2 gig, 4 gig came on board, and the most expensive and most box phones then, or the selling point then, were 4 gig phone. Nowadays, you may not even get a smooth running for some applications with a 4 gig RAM phone. You may need 8, or like some phones will do now. They've opened up the aspect of virtual RAM, so you can actually upgrade your RAM from ROM, adding an extra 4 or an extra 8 to the other 8 that's in with it. Then also like we said, become smaller, faster, and more efficient. Now these changes will result to higher energy efficiency, enhanced speed, and reliability. What these points just implies is with more processing ability, more upgrade is required if you want your system to operate at a very efficient way, or at a very high performing way. You need to upgrade. Okay, here we have a picture of the evolution of computers from the mainframe to the workstation to the mini computer. Now, because it's a mini computer, the word there, mini, doesn't do justice to the size. It was still bigger than some laptops. We have the personal computer, then the most recent generation of computer right now are the smartphones, and they're getting slimmer and smaller. but more efficient in terms of performance compared to the previous ones. Okay, user demand for high processing power. This is another drive for upgrade. Just as I explained earlier, we want our phones to carry out, or not just phones, we want our devices, our PCs as well, to be able to do a lot of things for us. At the same time, we want it to run smoothly. We want it to handle, to multitask more intensely than ever. So these things are going to place a demand for upgrade. Like we have here growing requirement, software and multimedia, multitasking and efficiency, the impact on upgrade. I'm going to explain the impact. Users may need to upgrade their components such as the CPU or add more RAM to meet more demands. Now, if you have a phone or a system or a PC that probably runs on Intel Pentium, and it's a 2 gig or it's a 4 gig RAM, you may need to upgrade that if you want to run a Photoshop software, for example, Photoshop 2022 or 24, or if you want to run in Corel Draw as well. And sometimes, so if you're into web development or software development as well, you may also need a high processing system to compile your codes at the end of your work. So the demands are also indicators for upgrades. If we look here, the emergence of complicated software packages. I think this just means modern software also need an upgrade. We see here software complexities. Modern softwares are often feature-rich, requiring more robust hardware to run smoothly. Okay, the essence of all this is just to point out that with more demand from our computers, the requirement for an upgrade is imminent. You want to integrate, you want to do a lot of things, you would still need to upgrade the system to meet up with the current changes and trends. All right. Just a minute, please. Okay. So here we look at how to open the case of the PC. Now this is where are we still here, please? Hello, are we still here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So going through the course of the slides, I said earlier, I noticed it's more inclined towards the desktop side of things. I don't know if any of us here still works with desktop. Hello?
No, sir.
Yes, Mr. Vincent.
Okay, you still work with desktop?
No?
Okay. So we well, okay, I think that would be a little challenge for on our side. I need to tune the last part of this class to a PC inclined because here says how to open the case of a PC. On the picture, it's a desktop. Okay, let's just move forward. I'll try and merge my ideas on it together. Then if you have any question, please feel free to ask me at any point in time. Okay, when you're opening your PC, you can ignore the system unit image you're seeing. If you have to open your PC, I would have preferred this to be a very practical class where you can see what I'm doing, but unfortunately, I can't lose my system because that's what I'm using to interact or teach with us today. Okay, the first thing you need to do is power down and unplug. I would say first thing first would be to put it on and ensure everything is optimally running. I've had instances or cases whereby after I just opened the PC, then by the time I was done with what I wanted to do, I noticed some parts were no longer functioning, and I didn't know if it was before or after the opening. So you can put the if you're noting it down anyway, the first thing would be to put on the PC and ensure that it is functioning perfectly. Or if there are issues, you can identify, okay, my letter A on the keyboard is not working before, or the space bar is not working, or the enter key is not working. Identify every possible issue that may be in place first, then power down and unplug. So ensure it is completely shut down and disconnect all the cables. That's for a desktop. For your laptop, the first thing you do after you power down is to remove the battery. Remove the battery. The motherboard, I think the CMOS area stores electric charge that's not strong enough to switch on. That's sometimes when your battery is completely flat, that's for your system, there is still a little charge on the board. It's not down to 0. The charge is not strong enough to power the system, but it can affect the board if there is a mix somewhere. So the first thing you want to do is completely disconnect, take your battery off. That's why even sometimes when you being asked to work on your phone, they'll tell you first thing, remove the battery, or if you're going to leave your phone for a while, maybe a month or two without any usage, take off the battery. Even if the phone is bad and the battery is flat, remove the battery. That's because the board stores from the charges. Okay, then unplug and ground yourself. Okay, what this implies is make sure your feet is not directly on the ground. Make sure your feet is not on the ground. Then locate case screws. Okay, if you're using a laptop, I've had cases where we lose every visible screw that was inside, but there was a particular one at the center of the system connected to the keyboard in front. We didn't know. We just kept pulling. At the end of the day, the guy ended up breaking the case because he couldn't. He did not completely locate every screw. If you're going to be losing your system or even your phone, ensure before you start to drag or pull it off from the case, that's the way it's tightly knitted, you've located every screw that is tied and you've unscrewed it. You've unscrewed it, then you can access the interior. I'm skipping number 4 because you can use, I think, use 1 and 2. It depends on the screw per se. Use the one that is compatible with the bolt or the nuts. Okay, so first thing, put on the system to ensure it's working fine, or identify any issue that may be existing before you open the system. Number 2, plug down, power down, and unplug completely from, if it's connected to any power source, completely unplug it and shut down. Then number 3, remove the battery of the laptop before you begin to access the component. Remove the battery, then locate every screw on the laptop and unscrew. Then when you're done with that, you can access the interior. How to make a list of components to upgrade. Okay, here it says diagnose bottleneck. Now, it all depends on your needs. I'm not going to use what's there majorly because sometimes the need to upgrade your PC is dependent on you as an individual. Why are you upgrading? Is it that the application you want to run is not compatible with your current OS, or you need to upgrade that operating system? It could be the file format from which you're being sent is not compatible with the version of the software you have on your system. Thereby, you have to upgrade your version, or just as I said earlier, you want to carry out a particular task or operation, maybe edit a particular video or edit a particular song or sounds, and your current RAM or processor is not powerful enough. You might have to upgrade. Or if you're the gaming type, you want to play a particular version of a game, and the current RAM on your system or the video card is not sufficient enough, or is not meeting the minimum requirement, that may also be a need for you to upgrade. Or as well, for the Windows, sometimes you may also get notifications from the manufacturer asking you to upgrade your PC from maybe Windows 10 to Windows 11 or the likes. Okay, so yeah, making this list now, number one, I'm going to skip that. Number two says inventory or current hardware. Use PC parts system or a scanner to manually record your PC, your motherboard, RAM, drive, and the like. Okay, this is a software that you could use to give you a documented or a pictorial record of your system initially before the upgrade. Sometimes you can do an upgrade for a system, and the upgrade may conflict with the smooth running of another application or software. And in that kind of scenario, now you would need to downgrade back to your previous mode. So this software, PC Path Picker, would help you identify your current hardware state. So you know if I'm downgrading back, it has to be at this level to ensure that okay, my system is back to how it was. It's just like if you want to do a system upgrade, that's for your OS. One of the features which most times people ignore, probably because of our network or just the way we are, you'll be asked to back up first. You'll be asked to back up first, just in case the upgrade is not compatible with the system as a whole. You can always take it back to the initial stage. So this software would help you to get a pictorial document of how your system was before the upgrade. Then prioritize impact, prioritize by impact. Consider which upgrade yields the biggest gains, e.g., the CPU or the SSD hard drive. Okay, I'm just going to explain this from my own experience. When you're upgrading a system, although it's still based on your own personal need, many a time people focus on the RAM, which is important. I think that's one of the easiest things to upgrade. You could just buy another RAM and insert it in the RAM slot or replace it with the existing one. But a very complex and critical component of the computer to upgrade would be the CPU. Now you're seeing CPU here because it's a desktop. In a desktop, you could replace, now not the system unit, the CPU is inside. You could replace it without complicating the whole system unit as to a good extent. But if you're using a laptop, the CPU is embedded on the board. So doing an upgrade in that aspect, if not done by a professional and done with care, could lead to the damage of the whole system as a whole. I remember the time I wanted to upgrade a particular, well, not really upgrade. I wanted to repair or change an inbuilt battery of a system, and the guy who was going to diagnose it for me told me it's a 50-50 thing. You have to be very careful or give somebody who is more experienced in this, else it could go south. So there are some components of your system. Now, the content here may speak to CPU much, but when you're working with new devices, laptops, smartphones, or tabs, those ones are not easily replaced. You need to take it to the manufacturers. But for the RAM, you can do that on your own. For the hard drive as well, you could do that on your own. Once you open your system, you can identify where the RAM is, identify where the hard drive is, and also some other replaceable components. But the ones that are embedded on the motherboard, you may need a professional input to be able to do that. Then the fourth one says review check the purchase and warranty status of existing components to decide whether to replace or repair. Okay, before you upgrade, you need to also consider, like they're saying here, the status of the warranty. Most manufacturers would not, or your warranty will become invalid if you upgrade within a particular period of time. Most times, when they tell you 1 year warranty or so, it means you're not supposed to upgrade that, or you bring it to them. They will do it by themselves. So if you're going to be upgrading certain things on your system, if you're sure of the process and it's not going to backfire in any capacity, you can go ahead. But if there's a need and it's still within the warranty period, it is advisable to use the manufacturer's guide or use them to do it for you. How to get prepared for a component change, gather tools, anti-static precautions, source hardware, prepare software. This one is still speaking to the desktop. Let me explain it from the standpoint of a laptop, a PC, or a recent device. Now, gathering of tools, of course, you would need Phillips head drivers. It may not be 1 and 2. It depends on the type of screw you're working with. Anti-static precautions, so just like I said earlier, to avoid electrostatic discharge. When you're working with any gadgets as a whole, I think it's something that some of us may know already. Ensure that you're not standing barefoot on the ground. You may not get a shock directly, but your body charge can affect the components of the board or the part that you are directly touching. Then number 3 says source hardware. Source for hardware. All right. I wish I had enough time to be able to explain in pictures the different types of RAM we have. We have the PC1, PC2, and PC3. I think they are recent ones now. If you're going to be upgrading your RAM by yourself, you need to be able to identify what type of RAM you have. So when you're going to the market, you're buying or you're getting the same identical one, not a different one. And by the time you get back, you see it's not compatible with your PC. And also for the hardware, the hard drive, you need to be able to identify what type of hard drive your system uses. Is it the SSD or the HDD? If it's the SSD, then you know which to use to replace. If it's the HDD, you know which to use to replace. Same thing with your power supply, that's the power pack and the cable as well. For the GPU, those ones are embedded on the board, and you may need a professional to be able to replace or upgrade that for you. The number 4 says prepare software. One of the most used softwares or firmware would be the drivers. The drivers, we don't call them softwares per se, but they're not really hardware, so they're kind of in between. They are firmware that makes both the softwares and the hardware works. So if you install an incompatible drivers on your system, it would affect the operation or the performance of the system. So one thing we do is, if you want to download any drivers, ensure you're downloading from the direct manufacturer site. So if you're using HP, download from HP site. If you're using Dell or Lenovo, download from their site, because there are a lot of websites that still posts generic drivers. They may work to an extent, but over time, it will begin to affect the smooth running of your system. So if you notice that maybe your screen, you're trying to increase the brightness of the screen or decrease the brightness, but it's no longer working. When you scroll the icon left or right, the display remains the same. That's a driver issue. When you are trying to increase the sound with the keyboard, you increase or decrease the sound, but the audio remains the same. That's a driver issue. No, there are almost I would say half of some of the issues we experience on our systems are down to the drivers. They're down to the driver because they directly and indirectly affect the hardware and the software. If your keyboard is not working, the first thing to check is, are the drivers updated or are they even compatible, before confirming or checking if it's the keys themselves that are at fault. If your display screen is not working, if your mouse is not working, if your USB ports are not working, the first thing to check and confirm is the drivers. Are they up to date? Are they compatible? And the likes. And also, if you're going to be upgrading your Windows, so we recommend getting the licensed one. It's expensive, but that's what we recommend. But then most of us in Nigeria uses the crack one, and somehow, although not very common, it can also affect the performance of the system. But it's not very common because if you find your way around activating it, fine. But then we recommend buying the licensed one from the manufacturers. So I hope you're still with me. Hello.
Yes, we are with you, Mr. Vincent.
Okay, I'm just trying to run through because of our time, and also make a summary, and also align what we have here with what is easily relatable, because it may look ambiguous. All right, how to check and verify the specification of new components against the requirements. Okay, how to check and verify specs against the requirements. Number one is CPU compatibility. You have to use Intel's product compatibility tool to verify the socket type, chipset, the chipset supports, and the required BIOS version for your motherboard Intel. You could use, okay, there's a tool called Intel Product Compatibility Tool. You could use it to check if the component you want to upgrade with your existing system with are compatible. Number two, check for the RAM specifications. Okay, consult Kingston Memory Finder. Okay, that's a type of RAM, and I think that's also a platform where you could also check the type of RAM that works. Now, DDR4 and 5 are okay. They are recent RAM. This just goes to explain what I said earlier. You have to check if the RAM you have currently on your system is first of all, if it's upgradable. That's one thing. There are some RAMs that are okay. The highest available of that type is 4 gig or 8 gig. I think I had a system then that the highest available RAM for it was 8. So there was no way to upgrade that. Of course, I could find another 16 gig RAM, but it will not be compatible with that system. So here it says check for the RAM specifications. Check to confirm the speed, the voltage, and also the capacity match for your motherboard supported configurations. Okay, this is what explains what I just said right now. Because of the way the system was designed, the board was structured to only contain or accommodate a RAM of 8 gig, 8 gig in capacity. So any RAM beyond 8 gig, it would make the board to malfunction or not come on at all. So before you do an upgrade on your system, ensure those things are in place. Number 3, power requirements. Power requirement. It says here, input your components into the cursor, PC, PSU calculator or similar to ensure that the power supply can handle the total thermal design. Okay, what I'm just saying here is, I think this one would apply more if you're going to upgrade your laptop. This is more or less like a PC. Number 3 here is speaking to a desktop. If you're going to upgrade your PC, the power components are also very, very important because it's similar to what can I use as an analogy right now? A cup. Okay, let me use a cup. A 5 milliliter cup, 5 ml. Now you know already the maximum volume of water that it can take is 5 ml. If at any point in time you get tired of 5 ml and you want to drink 10 ml, obviously you cannot upgrade that particular cup. It has been built to only accommodate 5 ml and below. If it came with 5 ml, you know that's the best you can get as with regards to that in capacity. But if it has space for improvement, we call that being scalable. If the resources or the component can scale up and accommodate more, you need to verify that first before making any upgrade. The number 4, overall compatibility. It says run your selected parts check with PC part pickers compatibility checker to identify any form of factor clearance or BIOS conflict before you purchase. Okay, now you may not do this before you buy a system. If they allow you to do it at the purchase store, fine. But when you do get your own system, if you at any point need to upgrade, if you want to upgrade and you don't want to buy a new one, you feel you need to upgrade the existing one, you need to check for the components that can be upgraded and still maintain the compatibility with that system. So you don't get to, let me use the words of Jesus, put a new wine in an old wine skin. It will burst. So before upgrading your system, be very sure to have run a compatibility check, ensuring that you know the areas that can be upgraded and the area that were built or embedded to remain so. All right. So far, any question before I move on? I think I need to hear our voices too. Waiting for us. Any questions so far or any contribution so far? Are we still here?
Yes, we can hear you, Mr. Vincent.
Okay, yeah, I'm asking for contributions or questions. I need to know if we're following. See, we still have a few persons on the call. I need to know if we're following. Anybody?
You are free to unmute your mic. You're free to chat in the chat room. David, Richard, Buddy. Mr. Vincent, are you
Oh,
still there?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
have
I'm
anything to
still
say actually.
okay. Anybody else? Anybody else? Any question? Have you
Let me just ask this question. When it
okay.
comes to, okay, this one has to do with when you want to buy a system. I know that there are different architectures of system, particularly what we call the generation. You
Yes,
know, there are some systems they will tell you to say Core i7,
yes.
8 gig or 16 gig RAM, blah, blah, blah. But when you look at the generation of that laptop, it is second generation, you know, whereas there is 13th gen, which is the latest or the most current one. What will you advise somebody want to buy a system to consider in that regard?
All right. Thank you very much, sir, for the question. I usually advise people to go for, first of all, the I call it processor. Now, so far from my experience with computers, there are three areas that determines the performance of the system, not necessarily the generation, though that comes in handy, but not in my top three. Number one is the CPU or the processor. Number two is RAM. And number three is the hard drive. The hard drive. So you mentioned the Core i3, i5. Now those are different types of processors that determines the performance level of that system. Now, given the number, obviously, i5 is higher than i3. i7 is higher than i5. I think there's the latest one called i9. So the first thing you may want to look out for is the in processor in terms of performance. Well, it's the price is also goes higher with the name. I wouldn't recommend the Core i3 for now because most softwares it will run fine, but it may not run as smoothly as the Core i5. So you consider the CPU first, then consider the RAM. Then okay, I think I will put the generation before the hard drive. I'll put the gen before the hard drive because while you can always upgrade the hard drive, you cannot change the gen. It's like buying, let's say, an iPhone now. You cannot change an iPhone 6 to iPhone 14. Most times, or what we do most times is just sell it and buy a new one. But if you buy a computer system that is, let's say, ninth generation, it has a CPU speed of 2.9 gigahertz, and the RAM is, let's say, 4 gig, for example. Now you can upgrade the RAM to 8 gig or 16 gig or 32 gig if the slots are available, but you cannot change the generation and you cannot easily change the processing speed. So in order of priority of which word would I use again now? Complexity of change. CPU, RAM is important, generation, then the hard drive. So go for the one that has a higher processing speed first. Do I answer that?
I will agree with you partially because
Okay, sir.
if I go for a Core i3 that is of 13th gen, I can prove it to you that it will work better than a Core i7 that is of second or fourth gen because of the
You will see,
architecture design of the processor and the motherboard.
you will see a Core i7 or second gen now. Most Core i7s would start from 7th, 8th, 9th gen. So a system of a system that is carrying Core i7 cannot go as low as first, second, third, fourth, or fifth gen. The 13th, 12th gen are recent, obviously, but the same thing with the 9th, 8th gen. So why would you run a Core i3 of 13th gen? I can tell you categorically, a heavy demanding application would lag on that system, even if it is 13th gen. So it still depends on what you want to do. But if you're talking about performance, processing speed beats generation. Core i7, Core i9, they are within the same gen range. So if you see a Core i7 of, let's say, 11th gen and a Core i9 of 13th gen. Now, the difference here would be stipulated in the processing speed. If the Core i7 has a 3.0 gigahertz and the Core i9 has 1.2 gigahertz, which one would you likely go for?
Of course, the higher the processor speed, the better.
But the Core i7 is from 11th gen. So you see
Yeah,
that
if they are very close, because there are some generation that you cannot even install Windows 11 on them. It will not run.
yeah. Those
You know,
are
it will run.
probably
Yes.
fourth, fifth, sixth
Not to talk of
generation.
some database or software application that require, a kind of architecture.
Yes,
So
yes,
that's
yes.
the area I'm looking at it. But all what you have
Right.
said is also correct. So let's move on.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, where am I? Just a minute. Well, I'm going to skip some parts because of our time and because of the context of the materials. It's heavily aligned towards desktop, and that won't do us so much good. All right, well, moving to mass storage selection, removal, and installation. Well, this still aligns to a desktop computer, but I'll try and link it up with a PC. I think I've said that earlier, but let's just go ahead. Choosing suitable mass storage. Okay, we have two types of mass storage when we're dealing with our PC. We have the hard disk drive, the HDD, and the SSD. For the interface, we have the SATA and we have the NVMe slot. I'm not going to beat around the bush too much. I'm just going to explain to us the difference and which to go for. Now, had the HDD, it's more of like we were saying earlier, previous generations means of storage. Most of the computer systems you find today uses the SSD. If you notice, the flatter a system is, it's already just running on HDD. So HDD, of course, they offer large storage. Most of your 500 gig hard drive, or sometimes from 1 TB, are HDD, but they are slow. SSD are much more faster, and they offer quick boost time, and they're also better for applications. Now, if you're going for a hard disk, because of their expansion features, a 320 SSD is equivalent or almost equivalent to a 500 gig HDD. So if you want to buy a system and you intend to run it with recent or current softwares, updated softwares, I would recommend you go for an SSD. And if at any point you get, if you do see, okay, it's a 320 gig size, not to worry, it's equivalent in size and expansion abilities to a 500 gig HDD. So just to cut the long story short, SSD is more recent, HDD is of the previous generation. And if you have to buy a system, I would recommend you go for the SSD. Now, hard drives are, you can't upgrade across the type. So if your system is HDD, except the system has the capacity to accommodate both HDD and SSD, which some, not all, some recent, or yeah, some recent gen does. You can't have a single HDD architecture and want to upgrade to SSD. They may have to change the board or change some things in the light of that, but you can upgrade from 120 gig HDD to 220 HDD to 500 HDD within the same type. The same thing goes for the SSD, but you cannot cross upgrade. Okay, that's all for that. Dismantling the storage. Okay, this is more of a desktop again. But if you're using a laptop, I don't see any reason why you should dismantle your laptop's hard drive. It's a very sensitive and volatile component of the computer, especially that part that has a magnetic feature on it. Don't, as much as possible, do not use your hand to touch that aspect. If you want to bring it out, okay, it's easier for me to use. Okay, there's a link here, but this is more of the hard drive. So when you want to take it out, there are some screws at the sides. Don't touch the center magnetic part. Just like an optical disc can be corrupted when you touch some parts of the fins. You can also corrupt your hard drive if you touch that magnetic part at the center. As much as possible, try not to touch it, and also try not to place it in the part where it gets to fall. If it is exposed to a heavy fall or a high impact, it could damage the hard drive entirely, or if not, it can corrupt it and make it unusable as well. Assembling a mass storage. This is for a desktop computer. I think so far, if we're looking at PC, there is very little, there's not much assembly. My experience so far with laptops these days is they are being built for you not to open it. They're becoming much more flatter and much more sleek and much more difficult to open. So the areas or the ones you can actually do on your own are the RAM, the hard drive, and there are a few components, but the video card is embedded. You can't do that. So you can replace the keyboard, you can replace the RAM, you can replace the hard drive. Other parts of the board are designed. I'm giving this as my own personal opinion and recommendation. If you have any contrary idea, you can let me know. But systems, laptops in particular, not desktop, laptops in particular are designed these days to reduce minimal opening. So if at all you have to upgrade, the ones you can do on your own, if you're not a full laptop repairer or professional, the RAM can be easily done, the hard drive can be upgraded, and also upgrading of the operating system. We don't have that here. I think I would end with that. So so far, any input again? I think I enjoy when we're much more interactive. Anybody has anything to say so far? Hello.
Hello, sir. Good
Okay, yeah,
afternoon, sir.
honestly, what do you have to say on what I'm trying to round up because of our time and also because of the context of our materials. But so far, I think I've been able to touch to a good extent upgrading your PC. But I need us to also contribute.
Okay, I was thinking maybe the practical aspect would have been added to
Yeah,
the
it's just okay,
theoretical part.
what we have here as practicals are directed towards desktops. And I don't think anybody has any desktop with him or her right now to want to
No.
assemble or lose up.
Okay.
So, but so far on the aspect of upgrading of your personal computers, which has to do with your laptop majorly, I think that's what most of us use. Have you been able to gather one thing or the other from here?
Yes, yes, sir.
Can you tell me one? Anybody? Anybody so far what you've been able to gather or what you've gained or learned so far?
I want to ask a question.
Okay.
Yeah. 512 gig of SSD is equal to 1 terabyte of HDD or higher or less?
I would say less, I won't say higher, but it's tending to the same capacity. Now, this my data is not verified, but from usage and also from reports from those who have also used it, the SSD 512 can take the same or equal amount of storage as your 1 TB HDD. But one of the major advantage the SSD has over the HDD is that it can accommodate new softwares. You can it's better for installing recent or new applications compared to the HDD. So it's almost the same. I won't say lesser or higher, but let's say near equivalent to the same size.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Would I'm still this is 10:33. Okay, let me just wrap up with installing upgrading your Windows. Because of it's an online class, we can't do an actual practical. I would have loved to do that, but then the system cannot multitask to that dimension. So I just have to verbally explain it. And again, the material itself, I would have worked on this myself as well, but then most of what is here is applicable to desktop computer. So next time we'll do a switch to laptops. Okay. Let me just leave it here. So one major thing people do upgrade. I don't know if any of us have done it before, but upgrading of your PC from Windows 10 to Windows 11. Do we have anybody who has done that before? Who has formatted your system and upgraded from one OS to another?
Yes, I've done it severally.
Okay, so that means you're familiar with the process. So I'll just explain this for a few of us who may not have done that. But I think many of us should have an idea. All right, so there are many reasons to format the system or a system. Upgrading is one of them, actually. Another reason may be when you encounter issues that seemingly have no solution. So you just want to format the system completely and restart again. Then, or you want to upgrade it. So the first thing you need is a bootable drive. It could be a CD or a CD-ROM, an external one, or if your system doesn't have a CD drive, you could use an external one. But in recent times, I think we use a flash drive now. So we use a flash drive and we make it bootable. Then if you're using the HP, you have to do it a shutdown first or a restart or what you call a cold boot. when the system is coming back on, when you're putting it back on, the first thing you do is to press the F9 button until it shows the boot menu. Yeah, if you're using a Dell F12, I think those two are the ones I'm familiar with more. Okay, Dell and Toshiba is F12, Windows is F9. So it shows you the boot options, and there you can, your flash drive should have been plugged in already, or your CD-ROM running the disk. So you can pick which CD you want to boot from with your flash drive that contains the OS or a CD-ROM, and when you do that, it brings out the Windows pop-up box and asks you to start Windows installation. There it shows you the number of OS on the flash drive. If you have Windows 10 Pro, Enterprise, the likes, you select it. I think it's a very straightforward process and much more easier to explain in practice actually than verbally saying it. I hope we have another time where we could do it practically and get to explain it by ourselves. Left to me is more effective that way than having a verbal explanation of the whole process. But that being said, I think I would like to bring the class to a close because of time and the next class that is also coming up. Any question from anybody so far before I hand over to the host? Any questions so far from anyone before I hand over?
No questions, sir. You are good to go.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Honesty, and everyone who has been on the call. Thank you very much for your time. God bless you. I hope we'll be able to pick up something that applies to our computer works and all that we do. So thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Vincent. It was really, really nice to have you in the class. So that will bring us to the end of the software application part of today's class. We will be going into the cybersecurity session right now.